We have a very beautiful journey of a STP program, which is we organized, Bombay Stock Exchange organized with collaboration with Macaut, and this program is fully sponsored by AICT. So I request all participants first to mute your device. This session will run 3 to 4:45 up to, and after that last 15 minutes it will be a question answer session. So all participants, if you have any questions, please ask one by one for this session of securities law. I know nowadays there is many talk and many statements are coming for the securities law and this related. So please clear your all thoughts, all concepts and everything from Madam. Dr. Mehta will take this session now onwards, and she is very renowned faculty for Bombay Stock Exchange Institute Limited. Meanwhile, I request all students to please give a concentration that 5:15 onwards today's second session will start, and it will be continue up to 7, where there is a panel discussion where faculties will join from the last 5 days. Some faculties will join and they will discuss and they will take one by one feedback from all of you, and all the question answer, and any questions. That question might be what will happen if the third world war will start, what is the price of petrol, anything related to your subjects line. So 5:15 to 7 will be the session panel discussion, and 7 to 7:30 is the validity session when where VC sir, VC of Macaut will join, as well as the controller of exam Mr. Subhasis Zotto will join, and from Bombay Stock Exchange Mr. Rahul Ranadeve, who is a chief business officer, he will join also over there, and we will do the closing ceremony at 7 to 7:30 on that time. So I request all participants to give concentration for current session, which is securities law. Session will end at 4:45. Last 15 minutes you can ask all your question. Madam, the session will over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Subayu. Good afternoon, all of you. Yes. So securities law. So what are we going to talk about? So when I say about securities, yes, please, anyone can unmute when I'm asking a question, and please be comfortable to speak up. Yes, so when we say securities, what comes to your mind? Yes, friends? I like an interactive session. I believe in it. So yes, I'm requesting you to, any one of you, to unmute your mic and yeah, speak. What comes to your mind when we say about securities?
Ma'am, good afternoon. This is
Good
security is a protection.
Okay, it is protection. Okay. Anyone else? Thank you, Ramakrishna.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, anyone else? Amal, would you like to say something? I said I'm looking forward for an interactive session because both of us need to enjoy. I as a facilitator and you as my audience, right? So it should not be monotonous, and therefore I'm asking you. So would anyone like to add something on that? What do you mean by securities?
Dear participants, you may unmute your mic and you can directly interact with ma'am. Please unmute your mic and interact with ma'am.
Yes, Sudupta. Seville, anyone?
I think it is how to protect anything that is security.
Okay, how to protect anything, that is why Seville says. Arvindam, do you have any difference of opinion to what these two people said? Because both of them said it speaks about protection. So is it about protection or it's something more than that? No? Okay. Let me come back. So before we start with the subject, I just wanted to have an understanding. Okay, what do you mean by, do you understand the term securities? When you're talking about securities is nothing but scripts, right? Just to bifurcate it further, when I'm talking about scripts, I'm talking about equities, I'm talking about debentures, I'm talking about bonds, I'm talking about derivatives, right? So everything which is being traded in the you can say stock exchange, right? Everything which is being traded will be covered under your what word securities. Securities is nothing over here but the scripts that are traded, right, in the stock exchange. Are we clear with this? Yeah. And now we are going to study, or we are going to understand what is security law. So why is law required for all these scripts which we are talking about? What does law do? So before I start with that, yes, what are my objectives? So yes, you need to understand what is security law. You need to understand who is the regulator of this particular market. We need to understand the objectives of that particular regulator, functions, the redressal mechanism, and what are the regulations that the market regulator has come forth to protect the investors, right? So yes, why do we require law? Why do we are dealing with scripts, we are dealing, I'm sure everyone must be dealing with at least MFs, that is your mutual funds. Do you have investments in mutual funds, friends?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then why are you going for mutual funds?
Mutual fund, it is systematic investment.
It is a systematic investment. Okay. Therefore, you're going. Yes. Anyone else? Please be
Yes,
comfortable.
maybe,
Here we are there for
maybe,
learning, sharing knowledge.
Maybe
Yes.
return is high.
Okay, returns are high, right? So Arvindam says the returns are high. One of your friends says that yes, it's a systematic investment and therefore is going for it, right? Okay. You say that it is a systematic investment, returns are high. Can anyone assure you about your returns, Arvindam?
No,
Is
ma'am.
guaranteed?
No, ma'am.
No.
Guarantee.
So, is it possible that yes, there can be any cheating, frauds, anything that can happen?
Yes,
as far as your money is concerned?
Of course.
Of course, it can happen, right? So in case if such kind of things happen, what is the thing that gives you protection? What is the thing that you go give protection?
Some law which is implemented by
Laws, right? So when you're talking about laws, law is the thing which brings in discipline in the society, right? Is law for bringing in discipline in the society, friends? Yes. So in the similar way over here, why do we require this law? We want this particular law. Legislations are there in the security market to bring, or you can say to control the security market, to make the security market safe, right? And therefore everything, and remember that our society functions only because of legislature, because of law, because of statute, because of act. So in case if you want a discipline in the security markets, if you want to avoid frauds, if you want to avoid misappropriation of money, what is there? There has to be a law, right? Because it is, when it comes to law, what is the effect of law? What does law do? What can law do rather? Does it bind everyone?
It makes discipline actually.
Pardon?
It makes discipline.
It brings in discipline. Does it bind everyone? Does it have a binding force?
Probably yes.
Yes, probably yes, it is. Can you violate any? Okay, just to give you a simple example, okay, if the traffic signal is red, can you cross it?
No.
It is a binding that you have to wait. And in case if you're not stopping at the crossing, the traffic signal when it is red and you're trying to cross it, what happens? Challan comes to your home?
Yes, it will be
right. Why? Because you're penalized. You have done an offense. You have violated something, right? So what is law doing? Law is having a binding effect. It is making you to do things mandatory, right? Some things which are required for the protection of the society, right, are asked to be done by means the law is asking each and every citizen to just abide with the same. Similarly, as far as your securities law concerned, the players in this particular security market, what are they doing? They are binding each of them. The law is binding them to discharge their duties diligently. And in case they are discharging their duties diligently, what is going to happen? Yes, there will be what? As far as the security market is concerned, it will be a safe place to what? Work in, right? Yes, so that is what we are going to. So importance, and yes, I've told you what are we going to cover, right? So first, so what is the importance? So you know what is securities law, right? Law is something which gives you safety. security protection, as someone said, right? And which are these legislations which are giving you protection? These are the legislations which are giving you protection in the security market. So tomorrow, in case if you are investing in equities, bonds, right, then in that case, what is there in case if something goes wrong, right, then it is the legislations which are prevalent in the security market is going to protect you from this, right? What happens because of law? Why is security law important? It brings in the robust growth of security markets, right? Does law bring in growth? Do you agree with this? And if you agree with this, how? Can you just tell me in one sentence? Yes, someone else. Sangeeta, would you like to try? Sangeeta Das? Ujwal, sorry, Ujwal, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So why do I say it is bringing in growth? How does law help you to bring in growth?
If it is in disciplined way, then all must be followed, and there
It has
is
to,
regulatory body are there.
okay, I will give you a simple example, right? Everyone today is investing in the security market. Was this scenario as far as your parents are concerned, or it is as far as your grandfathers are concerned? Have you seen them investing in the security market? Were they investing then in the security market? Were they doing so? The amount of investment that is happening in today's generation, was it happening 2 generations back? Friends,
No.
quickly, no. Why was it so? You agree it was no, then why was the reason for the same? What was the reason?
Maybe at that time, the law is not very much implemented on this sector. That's why.
Correct. There was no regulator. There were no legislations. And since there were no regulator, no legislations, what was this market called as? Have you heard about Satta Bazaar? Have you heard the name Satta Bazaar?
Yes, ma'am.
What is Satta?
It is
Satta means what?
Gambling.
Gamble,
yes.
right? So this market was called as gamble, right? People looked at it as a gambling market, and therefore no one dared to invest in this particular market. Was it so? So in case if you are whatever investing in the securities market, yes, there is a likelihood that what will happen? Your investments are going to go down the drain, right? There was a likelihood, and therefore people refrained from investing in the securities market, right? And so what does this change now? Now today we say that yes, we are going ahead and investing in the security market. I will say in each household, people are investing in the security market in the form of equities, bonds, or it can be your MFs, right? So why this particular change? So why have you now investing in the security market? Why there is a change? Is there a growth? Yes, there is a growth right now, because if we see this generation gap, what is that? I said in each household today people are investing in the security market, so there's definitely a change, right? So why this change is there? This change is there because of the security which the legislations have given, right? The protection that the law gives, and because of that now people are feeling that yes, there is someone, so tomorrow if something goes wrong, there's someone to what hear to my plea. I will get justice, right? I will not be cheated. That particular trust and faith is there in the security market, and that is the reason people are moving towards it, right? Because as far as returns were concerned, yes, earlier also it was giving returns, but there was no surety about the same. Today also there is no surety as far as returns are concerned, right? But yes, in case of any frauds, misappropriation taking place, you know that yes, the regulator is there, and at least I can get back my money back, right? So if you're talking about DHL, have you heard about the DHL scam? Yes, have you heard about the DHL scam? We have, right? So as far as DHL is concerned, yes, because of that fraud, people who had invested in that particular company, right? They had issued bonds, debentures. What has the company, as far as the SEBI is concerned, what has SEBI done? It has appointed a committee which has decided to set whatever sell their assets, and they are at least paying back the principal amount to the small investors, right? So the whole security market is working for the protection of your securities, right? So that is a change. And why this change is there? It is only because of the legislation's preference. So remember that. So if you want growth in this particular market, right, what is there? You require legislations. Without legislations, no one can achieve growth, right? Because yes, it is not only that it gives protection, there are many other things that the legislation does, right? And remember that this is the most fast moving, you can say, investment wherein you can get high returns. And basically it is this particular money that you're putting in the securities market is always doubled. Someone is utilizing that particular money and it is increasing your GDP. Every penny that you're putting in over here is reutilized, right? So in case if you're keeping your investments in your gold or property, what is it? Is it really getting multiplied? The answer is no. But if you're putting in money in the security markets, it's multiplied continuously. And therefore, even the government has taken interest. And with that particular object, what is there in 1992, they appointed or they constituted a body who could regulate this particular market, right? Because it definitely affects the GDP. So if we really notice, so it's not only that individuals are growing, but as a whole, the country is also growing because of the multiplication of the money that happens or takes place in the security market, right? Because it is reinvested, as I said. As far as so what is law doing? So law is bringing in growth, which is beneficial to the whole nation as well. Secondly, is it only giving you protection and security? The answer is no. It is bringing in transparency. Can you tell me how transparency can be brought as far as legislations are concerned? Anyone? Any idea? Law brings in what? Transparency. So how will you say, how can it bring in transparency?
It prevents insider trading.
Okay, it is preventing insider trading. Do you know how it has been prevented? Any idea? Yes, what you said, Saibal, is absolutely right. It is preventing insider trading, right? But why is it being prevented? It is prevented because of the legislations which are telling everyone to be transparent, right? So under the insider trading regulations, the promoters, directors, they have to disclose what is their holding, right? In case if they're disclosing their holdings, what is there, and they also have to give a plan prior, right, as far as their trading is concerned. So that is one of the mandates as far as your regulations of insider trading is concerned. Because of that, what is there? Everything isn't being transparent. They can control, they can monitor. Don't you think, as far as the Companies Act is concerned, so any particular company, if it wants to raise capital, can they just raise capital without a prospectus?
No, madam.
No, right? What is a prospectus?
DHRP.
Yes. What is a prospectus? What are the contents of a prospectus?
Business information, risk of the
very
business.
good, very good. So it
EPS,
pertains all the information related to that particular company, right? Now, when you're disclosing who are you, from where did you come, what is the capital that you're going to raise, right? What is your net worth? What is your profitability, right? A balance sheet. Are you displaying everything in that particular prospectus? You're being open and transparent with people? Yes. And why are you being transparent? So given a choice, would you disclose all these things if no law was there or legislation was not there? Do you think each and every individual would have been so transparent? The answer is no, right? Just because it is a mandate by law. So your ICDR regulations, that is your issue and disclosure regulations, they make you a mandate that yes, in case if you are raising money from the market in whatever manner, what is there, you have to disclose your identity. You have to disclose all the facts as far as your company is concerned. And therefore, what is that when you're disclosing what happens? Yes, the investors, what can they do? They can take an informed decision. They can read through you. They can see you. I say prospectus is nothing but the horoscope of that particular company. So you can see through it, you can understand it, and then afterwards, yes, if you feel that it is appropriate place for you to what? Invest, you are going ahead with it, right? So yes. So, and why I said why this they are disclosing, it is because of the legislation. So is law bringing in transparency, friends? I just gave you one example. Is it bringing in transparency?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely, right? Third thing, enhanced efficiency, right? Is law bringing in efficiency? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Are there changes? Yeah. So earlier, if you were talking about your what securities transfer, when was a share certificate coming to you? When there was no demat? Huh? Was it taking months for you to come in case of transfer? If you were selling shares or you're purchasing shares, did it take months together to reach to you?
Yes, yes.
Yes. There was
No.
loss in transit. Right, the certificates were mutilated. There were so many things that were happening, right? Do you think there is a change now?
Yes.
Yes, because of demat, things have become so faster, so quick, right? So yes, you're buying a share, immediately it is reflected and it is credited in your account. Why is that possible? Again, we have a legislation for your what? Dematerialization of shares. Correct. So is law bringing in efficiency? The answer is yes, right? We have regulations wherein now transfer, it is mandatory that the transfer has to be done in 2 days, right? T+2 they call, right? So within 2 days, the transfer needs to be take place. So why this particular efficiency has come in? It is because of the legislation. The law is mandating that yes, this has to be done. Now they're coming with T+1, not also 2. So immediately T+1, what is going to happen within a day? Everything is there in your, it will be reflected in your what account. So as far as payment is also concerned, everything, it will not take even 2 days for what? Any particular kind of transfer. So has law brought in efficiency? The answer is yes. So if you are having legislation, yes, it brings efficiency in any of the processes because it directs that yes, certain processes have to be followed, and when those processes, then it is lawmaker, if it is the legislation or the statute which is telling you about the same, yes, it is a mandate, right? And you need to follow it. The next thing is your what? Liquidity, correct? Are these instruments encashable easily?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Are they redeemable easily? Yes, they can be redeemed whenever. So whenever, in case if you are invested and yes, you require that particular money immediately, what is there? Yes, you can redeem your the same instruments, and what is there? You can get cash whenever it is possible. All this is become what basically easy because of legislation and stability. Yes, law also brings in stability, right? It as I told you, trust is being built up because everything is transparent, everything is clear to you, right? You have a protection, you have a security, and therefore what is it? It brings in stability. The uncertainties that are there in the market are wiped out because of legislation, right? Because yes, it is mandatory for all the players in the market to abide with regulations. When I'm saying all the players, which are the 3 major players as far as this market is concerned? Which are the 3 major players, friends? The securities market.
SEBI.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes. SEBI is not the player. SEBI is the regulator, right? So the 3 players of the market are your issuers.
Issuers.
Right? So who are the issuers? All the companies fall into that category of issuers. The second thing is your whom? The intermediaries, the depository participants, which are facilitating you with this particular services. And the third category is your investors, right? Yes, so these are the 3 players. Is the market regulating or monitoring everyone? The answer is yes. Followed. And when there is monitoration, when there is regulation, don't you think there will be stability? Will it be stable? Yes, it will bring in stability. Right now there has been a stability, and that is the reason now in each household people are not going for your age-old systems or investments, but have moved towards the security market. It is only because of the laws that people have turned over here, because law brings in security, law brings in protection, law brings in stability. It increases efficiency, and the most of the thing, yes, it brings in transparency. And when there is transparency, yes, faith and trust is automatically developed. Right now? Yes. So that is the importance of securities law. So we've understood what is securities, what is law, and why securities law is important. Right? We just, are we good till here, friends? Are we good?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay. So
Yes,
yes,
ma'am.
let's move further. Well, now talking to you, I just forgot. Yes, I forgot to introduce myself to you, and I just started with the lecture. Anyway, I will do at the end now. Right. So yes, I move further. So the Securities Exchange Board, that is your SEBI, right? Remember that SEBI is nothing but the regulatory body which has been incorporated, or it is under that particular statute that this body has come into existence because of your government of India, right? And it controls the whole market. It has been established in 1992, and the SEBI Act also was established. So pursuant to that act, the authority, that SEBI authority came into existence, and its headquarters are in Bandra, that is Mumbai. Okay, so that is regarding as far as your Securities Exchange Board existence is concerned. Remember that though the Security Exchange Board came in 1992, means it was established, or I would say it was given much more powers in 1992, but actually as far as your securities law is concerned, or the SEBI board is concerned, it existed in 1988, and prior to that this particular capital market was controlled by the government, right? So from the government it came to SEBI in 1988, but unfortunately SEBI never had the powers which they have it today, right? So we'll see how SEBI got those particular powers, and as we move further. Okay. Before we see how SEBI got those powers, we'll see what are the objectives of SEBI. So the first objective of SEBI is nothing but protection of investors, right? Because as I told you, it is the investors who is making this particular market robust. They are the people who are helping in increasing the GDP of our country, right? Because you're putting in your money, the ideal money, which is just means the money which was otherwise remaining idle, now is being channelized, now it is being mobilized, and as I said, yes, it is being given to the people who require it for doing business, right? And when you're doing business, yes, each business is done for profitability, right? So that's how your money is being put to the right cause, right use, and it is being multiplied. Right? And in case if you want all these things, and if you want, and basically as far as these companies are concerned, what are they doing? They are gathering money from the investors, right? So don't you think it is our money who is being utilized by these particular companies for their businesses? Correct? Therefore, don't you think that we should be secured, we should be protected? If we are not protected, do you think that we will lend our money to these particular businessmen? The answer is no, right? We'll stop it. Again, it will go back to what it was a few generations back, right? And our money will again be what? Lying idle. So if you are either keeping it in your locker, or maybe in any of your gold assets or any other assets, it would not have been properly utilized to the core as it is being happening today, right? And therefore the government also wants that yes, more and more investment should take place in this particular market, and therefore the government thought when these investments when people will be encouraged to do these investments, only when what? If they are protected. So the whole object of SEBI was nothing but to protect the investors, the sole object of SEBI, right? Apart from that, yes, it is providing a platform to whatever, to deal in this particular market, to trade in this particular market, and obviously it is looking after the development also of the market. Yes, any particular business should move further, it should grow. Similarly, as far as the security market also is concerned, it should expand further. Each every household, each every person from each household should be investing. So that is the target, right? And yes, if that has to be achieved, they have to continuously look forward for development of this particular market, right? So how can we bring in more and more people into this particular security market? That should be the object, right? So yes, development is another objective as far as SEBI is concerned. And as I said, yes, another important to regulate the market, because SEBI's one aim is what? Protection of the investors and development of the market. These two things can be achieved only if there is a regulation, right? Because you know that because of regulation, what is there? There comes in discipline, there comes in protection, right? So monitoration is required for each and every one of us, right? Otherwise, what do? Sometimes we tend to what? Avoid things that we are supposed to do, right? For any reason, maybe, right? And yes, and there can be then what? There can be some goof ups that can come, right? And therefore we individuals require continuous monitoration, and therefore what is there? Regulations are essential. Someone has to regulate us, someone has to control us, someone has to monitor us, right? Apart from that, yes, SEBI also has been given the powers of whatever making laws. We'll see to that later on. But yes, that is regulation. And the lastly, yes, another objective of SEBI is to address complaint. So unfortunately, if anyone is aggrieved, right, they can lodge a complaint, and what is there? That complaint can be addressed. So these are the prime objectives of SEBI, for which SEBI came into existence, right? So we'll see how SEBI achieves those, right? In spite of having legislations, have you heard about scams? Are there scams in this particular market? Have you heard about any particular scam?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yes, ma'am.
So which is the scam that you have heard about?
Harshad Mehta scam.
Yes?
That
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you, Ramkrishna.
ma'am, that scam, Harshad Mehta.
Very good. Yes,
Harshad
Harshad Mehta scam was the first biggest scam which happened in the securities market, right? So it was related to your price rigging, correct? It is not only scams, but there are frauds, there is misappropriation, right? So unfair practices which are taking place in this particular market. And because of this, what is there at times, even there are financial crisis which has occurred because of the wrong whatever dealings as far as the authorities are concerned, right? So when you're talking about the financial crisis of 2008, yes, one of the aspect or of that financial crisis was, as far as your collapse means, as far as your house prices were concerned, that collapsed tremendously. But one of the reasons was that lending was not done properly, right? And secondly, so the lendings were not done properly as far as the invest means the people who wanted to invest in this particular house property, and they were procuring loans from the financial institutions. The financial institutions did not give away proper loan. They did not follow a proper lending process. And secondly, as far as your another thing was that whatever mortgages they had, they bundled up these mortgages together and they further sold those mortgages in the market, right? So people were investing in houses through loans, right, which they just gave without any thought or any particular due process, or without seeing what is the quantum of your collateral which these people are leaving behind. And secondly, all these mortgages, they further bundled up together and sold it as mortgage backed securities, right? So, and yes, because of this, I will say, without a thoughtful Means there was no thought process behind that. There was no deep study in that, and they just sold all these things in the market, and yes, there were no returns there. So one thing collapses, the whole everything collapses. That is how it happened, and that was your financial crisis of your 2008, which started in US, but it affected all the nations subsequently, right? Those who had invested in these mortgage-backed securities. So banks who had given loans to the US banks, as far as banks who had invested in these mortgage-backed securities, they all suffered when the mortgages were they were not able to recover. The banks were not able to recover the loan money against the mortgage that was taken. So the collateral which was kept was something which was not sufficient, right? So let's see what are the functions of SEBI. Yes, but I thought that instead of just speaking about the functions of SEBI, I will discuss about case studies, and through that we'll understand what are the functions of SEBI, right? So the first is your Harshad Mehta scam. Yes, so someone, I think so it was Arindam who said that Harshad Mehta scam. So yes, do you know about Harshad Mehta scam? Yes, friends? What do you know about Harshad Mehta?
Sorry, ma'am. Whom?
Harshad Mehta scam.
Yes.
No one? Okay, let me start. Harshad Mehta was a broker, right? So in 1990, this was a year in 1990 when he started with his own brokering firm, right? And it was called as Grow More. So he started with his brokering firm, Grow More Research and Management company, right? As far as this particular company was concerned, or Harshad Mehta was concerned, he was a very renowned broker, right? He was into investments, and people just used to blindly follow him. He was then also called as the Sultan of the Dhl Scam, right? So remember how famous he was as a broker, right? And how much people really believed him, because he was a very successful person in as a broker in those days, right? So people used to call him a sultan, and all the investors used to just blindly follow Harshad Mehta, right? What did this sultan do? This particular sultan manipulated, you can say, stocks or prices of certain companies. Which were the stocks that they manipulate?
ACC Cement, ma'am.
ACC, correct. So it was your ACC, that is your Associated Cement Company. As far as this company was concerned, the stocks of that particular company were just rupees 200, right? But because of Harshad Mehta's investment, so what was his modus operandi? His modus operandi was, if you're talking about the name of the modus operandi, was pump and dump, right? He used the modus operandi of pump and dump scheme, wherein he used to pump money as far as that securities was concerned. So what was he doing? He was wrongly, or you can say unnaturally, inflating the prices as far as this particular stock was concerned, right? He was just purchasing that particular stock. How does the market function? How does the market function? How are the prices rising as far as your stocks are concerned? Yes, friends.
Ma'am, he promotes people that invest in SSC company, and the price of SSC just grow and pump and dump up. When increase the share price, then he just sold it and take his profit.
Correct. So when you are doing large purchases of any one particular script, what happens? The prices of that particular script goes up, right? And as far as these prices are concerned, they were not naturally rise in prices. But what did he do? He just went on purchasing one particular stock when Harshad Mehta is purchasing one particular stock, right? And along with other small brokers, wherein he told that, yes, we are going to whatever inflate the prices of that particular stock, they went purchasing. What happens when price start rising? How is this particular market work? So in case price start working, what is there? The common investors, right? They feel, yes, this particular company is doing well, and they also got put in their money, and that is how the prices further rise up, right? So artificially they create a situation wherein they create a picture, yes, that this particular company is doing well. And how do they do? By just showing a purchase, because when there is a demand, as you know, in economics, yes, when there is a demand, what is there? Prices increase with the demand, right? So same modus operandi was operated by Harshad Mehta, wherein he pumped money, he purchased the stock of ACC and increased the price. As far as the price was concerned, it was 200 and he had increased it to your what? 9,000. Followed? So that is the thing that he had done. So the prices that he had inflated, and all this he did for his personal gains. Remember that he did not do it for anyone else, but he did it only to whatever achieve personal profits. And that is how he started with the bull run as far as the market was concerned, right? So basically, is this something which is unethical or immoral? The answer is yes. Yes, because he did it for personal gain, right? And therefore it is definitely immoral and illegal, right? As far as this immorality is concerned, there is no punishment for immorality, right? But what did Harshad Mehta do? Harshad Mehta utilized the bank's money for pumping in money and as in the securities market. So when he wanted to rise the prices, what did he do? He used the money from the bank. So what did he do? So in those days, banks had to obtain government securities for maintaining their ratios, right? So yes, Subhadeep has mentioned that, yes. So for maintaining their ratios, that what is there? Banks had to purchase government securities. In those days, these securities were purchased through a broker only. So Harshad Mehta, being one of the topmost brokers, approached the banks. Banks believed in him, and therefore they lended money for purchasing those scrips for the government securities. Harshad Mehta took 7 days time from these particular banks. Instead of using that particular money for purchasing government securities for the bank, what did he do? He utilized that money for purchasing shares of this particular ACC. And that is how he, misused the funds of the bank. Now, is this something which is incorrect or illegal? Someone has given you money to utilize for a specific purpose. You do not utilize it for a specific purpose, but utilize it for something else, your personal gains. Is it illegal? Yes, it is illegal, right? So there where he was caught, right? So yes, this was a crime. So pumping in money then was not a crime. There was no legislation for the same in those days. So it was something only an immoral, unethical practice. But unfortunately, for where did this money came, or where did the capital come from? The capital came from the bank, and yes, he had misappropriated the money which the banks had given him for the securities. Initially, he was rotating the money. He used to put that money in the security market. He used to sell some amount of shares, and of course he was satisfying the bank. So this cycle could go for a few times, and then afterwards it was one of the journalists, Suchitra Dalal, who opened this particular scam, and she brought it in the notice of the public. And yes, everything fell like a bungalow of cards. The prices of the script dropped, and there was inquiry as far as Harshad Mehta was concerned. When this particular inquiry was done, was this inquiry done by SEBI?
No,
Was
ma'am.
this inquiry done by SEBI, friends?
No, ma'am.
Is anyone aware? No, this inquiry was not done by SEBI. It was done by CBI, right? Why was this inquiry not done by SEBI then? Because SEBI that time never had the powers to take action against. As I told you, in 1988, what happened? SEBI
It was a
was
statutory
formed.
body actually this time, that time.
CBI was the one who was investigating. Subsequently, as far as second fraud was concerned, SEBI came in picture. So in 1988, SEBI was there, but with limited powers, limited jurisdiction. And therefore, it was CBI who investigated this particular matter as far as ACC was concerned. Then afterwards, immediately after the scam was opened up by Suchitra Dalal, government thought that yes, we need to give some extra powers, extra functions or duties to SEBI, wherein such kind of scams can be regulated, can be monitored, right? And it was after this particular scam that SEBI came up as a market regulator. So SEBI was assigned the duty of market regulator, and therefore in 1992 SEBI got its you can say existence as a statutory independent authority to regulate the market. It was after this particular scam in 1992, right? And then afterwards, yes, SEBI was imposed with certain responsibilities, duties, you can say. And one of the duty was, yes, to take the protection of the investors, because many investors had lost their money. As I told you, yes, the common man or the poor, the small investors, they just go with that particular demand, right? So when the bull runs, yes, they feel that, yes, this script is going to, let's make money. And therefore, more and more people start purchasing the shares. And as I said, yes, the scheme is pump and then dump. That means sell those particular scripts. And when you're selling the script, these people sell it in huge lots, and then it is like it just crashes. The whole market crashes, right? And in that, the investors suffer a huge loss. And therefore, what is there? The first function of your SEBI, which was levied on them, that was protective function. So that is your protective function. So in 1992, SEBI was empowered with certain powers, and they were given a duty that yes, they have to protect the investors. Not only just protect the investors, but yes, they have to also see as far as the development of this market is concerned, and they have to regulate the market. So all these things were levied on SEBI in 1992 after the Harshad Mehta scam. Right, so this was the first thing that he did. Right, was it so that Harshad Mehta kept quiet? The answer is unfortunately no. Right, so though the inquiry was going up again as far as 1996 is concerned, during that particular period, 96, 2000, Harshad Mehta came back again, and he started a company called Damayanti Group. Right, as far as this company was concerned, it was, so he re-entered into the market, and as far as his re-entry was concerned, it was in the name of this particular company as Damayanti Group. So he did not come in the market openly as Harshad Mehta, but under the guise of your company Damayanti Group. So it was basically Mehta only who was functioning, right? The office also of this Damayanti Group was same as what Harshad Mehta's was, and he had a set of brokers and agents who were working on his behalf, right? So he was not doing anything, but indirectly, yes, he was buying and selling of the shares. Right, so this was his second venture which he started. When he started with the second venture, there were some new companies like your BPL, Videocon, Sterlite, right? They wanted to, they were startups, right? They wanted to be in the market, and therefore, what did they do? They funded Harshad Mehta for this particular Damayanti Group, and in return, they said that you are going to increase our prices as far as the scripts are concerned. When a price of a security is rises in the market, what is the effect? Yes, is the company in the names in the limelight? Is the company in the limelight?
Yes.
Yes, because people gauge the performance of a company from its price, right? So if the shares of the company are 9,000, 4,000, 6,000, that means it's a good company. That is what the investors feel, right? So same thing. So this was an exchange deal which they did. So yes, he was a startup. He wanted money. So he took that particular money from these three companies in view. So there was an agreement between the two. In view of that, Harshad Mehta, I said that, yes, I will see to that your prices of the scripts will rise, right? So the same modus operandi of rigging up the prices was again taken in hand by Harshad Mehta. But Harshad Mehta forgot to understand that, yes, in this years, over the years, SEBI has been vested with powers immediately after his first fraud. And yes, SEBI has been, you can say, it had the experience of the earlier scam, and therefore immediately is somewhere in 1998 SEBI again immediately, so he came back in 96, and yes, 98 SEBI again smelled something foul as far as this activities were done by the Damayanti group, right? Because the sudden increase in scripts again was something which led SEBI to investigate into the matter, and yes, they were able to link it to the Damayanti group and Damayanti group to your what, Harshad Mehta. And before another major scandal could happen, what was there? Yes, SEBI got hold of Harshad Mehta this time, and then what is there? SEBI looked into the matter, they investigated the man, and that is how SEBI was able to protect the investors. So this is how SEBI has been grown immensely, or slowly you can say, and it has been still growing, and it is on the path of what, protecting the interests of the investors more and more. Yeah? So that is a function of SEBI, protection of investors. Do you think, yes, SEBI has protected the investors through this particular scam? Has SEBI learned something? Has SEBI evolved? Has been SEBI given some more powers to discharge its functions properly? The answer is yes. Right now, I told you SEBI was conferred with those particular duties. It was given more powers. And because if you have to discharge any particular function, so if SEBI has to discharge the function of protection, development, or regulation, it has to be conferred, it has to be bestowed with certain powers. So those powers came after your Harshad Mehta scam to SEBI, right? Yes, things did not stop there. Right after the scam, SEBI came up with many more disclosures after your Harshad Mehta scam, yes, there should be online screen-based trading. So what will happen? There will be increase in transparency. So such kind of efforts were done by SEBI after the second scam. I will not say scam, but yes, this re-entry and again manipulation which was done, right? So such methods were such you can say steps were taken by SEBI to protect the interests of the investors, right? Then afterwards, things did not stop with Harshad Mehta. In 2001 to 2008, we had another scam, and that was your what? Satyam scam. Are you aware about the Satyam scam? Huh? I hope you know what is online screen-based trading. Yes, Sushmita, would you like to say something? You have raised your hand.
Model 3. Ethics and environment.
Yes, Sangeeta, I cannot hear you. You've unmuted yourself. Okay, fine. Sushmita has raised her hand, but I do not know why she's not answering. Maybe she's not heard me. Anyway, I just moved. So Satyam scam, as far as your Satyam scam is concerned, you know that it is... Sangeeta, will you please mute your microphone? Sangeeta, will you please mute your microphone? It is disturbing us. Okay. So as far as the Satyam scam was concerned, so Ramalinga Raju was the owner of Satyam Computers Limited, right? As far as this particular Satyam computers were concerned, what did they do? They manipulated the books of accounts as far as your Satyam was concerned. So when I say they manipulated the books of accounts, so what did they do, right? So they basically understated the liabilities. They you can say inflated their cash reserves. They inflated their profitability, right? And therefore they created a picture or an image in the eyes of your what, as far as your investors was concerned, that yes, the company is doing well, right? So because as I told you, yes, it is a mandatory for each and every company to portray or mention what they are, right? As far as Satyam it was concerned, they portrayed that they are in a better financial condition when they were actually not, right? So that was your Satyam scam, wherein they portrayed everything wrongly. As far as the scam was concerned, approximately 14,000 crores were the scam, the total worth of this particular scam was 14,000 crores, and that was the manipulation which this particular your Ramalinga Raju did in those days, right? Because the books of your of the company is a reflection of what you are doing, what you are, what is your standing. So this particular thing was used by Ramalinga Raju as a tool, and yes, he you can say he's cheated the investors, he cheated the shareholders, right? And yes, that was what Ramalinga Raju did. SEBI, of course, as far as Ramalinga Raju was concerned, he himself confessed about his deeds, whatever he had done, and that is how the scam was exposed. And definitely, yes, SEBI took cognizance of it. They investigated into the matter. They found the unfair practices that he had done, right? So was this an unfair practice? Disclosing, what is SEBI saying? SEBI is saying that you have to disclose your true and correct what financial status as far as your company is concerned. What did he do? As Subhadeep says that yes, he falsified the accounts, right? So when you're falsifying your account, that is what you are nothing but you are cheating the investors. So it is like cheating the investors, doing a fraud, playing a fraud upon the investors. So that is what Ramalinga Raju did. It was completely an unfair practice. Yes, and therefore SEBI levied huge fines as far as your Ramalinga Raju was concerned. So 18,050 crores of rupees was levied on your Ramalinga Raju, plus 12% increase till the day he makes payment, right? So a heavy fine was, and basically the time period which was given for him to repay the amount was just 45 days, right? Now you imagine the amount of penalty. What happens because of this particular penalty? When such an order is being passed, what does that happen? Does it create a deterrent effect? When there is a severe punishment like this, does it create a deterrent effect, friends?
Yes, ma'am. I think they are creating. They could become an NPA for the banks also.
Yes. So it creates a deterrent effect. No one will think about again going, because they know the repercussions of the same, right? That we will also have to face. So people are deterred. So it just comes as a backlash, right? And it ensures that such scams do not occur again. So SEBI again inflicted heavy penalties, and when it inflicted heavy penalties, it showed that yes, we are there. You are answerable to us, right? So don't you think that this is also, you're answerable to us? So they are creating fear in these particular people who are indulging into the fraud, and they are saying that yes, please be careful, please don't indulge, otherwise you can suffer in this particular marriage. So that, as I said, the deterrent effect is created, and because of that you're abstain. They are restraining you, they are prohibiting you, they are abstaining you from doing any such kind of activities further as far as the market is concerned. Correct. So that was your Satyam scam. And after this particular Satyam scam, SEBI made it mandatory for all companies to maintain their records of transactions. They regularly monitor the transactions. So SEBI has a right to monitor, regulate the transactions. SEBI has a right to just call off for your books of accounts, and you have to present it. SEBI, after this particular scam, also made it mandatory to appoint a CFO. Right, chief financial officer for your company. They made it mandatory for audits to take place. They said that yes, there has to be audits on regular basis. As far as your auditors are concerned, you cannot have the same auditors throughout. There has to be a rotation of auditors. So what will happen because of the rotation of our auditors? Obviously, what will be there? There will be no biases, right? So a person's or neutrally audits will be done. So that is the agenda. And why all these things are done? All these things were levied or enforced for your protection of investors. So in case if there are independent auditors, if even the concept of independent director came in, then in case there is independent director, in case there is your auditors, in case if there is a chief financial officer being appointed, so certain responsibilities vested upon that, what will happen, even as far as the companies are concerned, that is your issuers will not play any particular mission, right? So the first scam was relating to your intermediary, that is your broker. The second scam was pertaining to your issuers, so companies. So intermediaries can make frauds, companies also can make fraud, right? The third thing is your Sahara scam, right? As far as your Sahara scam was concerned, this scam came somewhere in 2009. I'm sure you are aware about your Sahara scam, right? You must have heard about it, but yes, without wasting further time, let me tell you all that what is this Sahara scam? Yes, Gunjan, you are saying this case was of insider trading. Which case you're talking about? Satyam case? Yes, it was for misappropriation of money. It was for your insider trading. It was for many things, but here we are concentrating on the functions, and therefore I've just taken the protecting. So because of the scam, what happened and how did SEBI evolve, and how did it protect the how does it protect the investors, right? As far as Harshad Mehta's case was concerned, no, it was not for insider trading. It was purely a bid rigging case, inflating the prices of the stocks unnaturally. Yes, we come to the third case, that is your Sahara scam. Right, as far as your Sahara scam was concerned, again, you are aware, as far as Sahara was concerned, it had to raise money from the market, right? They thought that yes, we will raise money from your private placement. Are you aware what this private placement is, friends?
No, ma'am.
Okay. As far as your private placement is concerned, over here, the shares are not offered to the public, but the shares are offered to a certain definite identified persons, I would say. When I'm saying persons, it can be your individuals, it can be your institutions also, right? So offerings are given to a selected set of people, and that is your private placement. So these, for raising money, they thought that yes, we will come up with your optionally fully convertible debentures, and they went in for private placement. The rule as far as your private placement nowadays is concerned, so earlier, unfortunately, it was not defined, but they said yes, will. But remember that ICDR rules, that is issue of capital disclosure regulations, were there, and it said that in case if you're raising money from the public, you need to seek the permission of SEBI, right? Unfortunately, as far as this case was concerned, he said that I'm raising money through private placement, and therefore he did not seek any permission of SEBI. He just offered, and basically, though he said it is private placement, he did not do so. Right. So as far as your Subrata Roy was concerned, he did not do so. He raised money from 13 million investors. Right. So as far as this, and of course, he raised crores of rupees through this particular investment. And so this is what he did as far as your Sahara, you can say, housing, and Sahara India real estate was concerned. So he had two companies, Sahara Real Estate and Sahara Housing Investment. So as far as these two companies concerned, he did so. Right. He came up with the third company, and that was your Sahara Prime City. Here again, he wanted to raise funds, and therefore this time, what did he do? He filed a prospectus with SEBI. Always remember, yes, you have to seek the approval as far as your SEBI is concerned. So accordingly, he went. When SEBI, the prospectus came to the SEBI, right? When they were checking everything, they found out there was some unusual fundraising by this particular group, right? And they started investing. Further, as far as there was one complaint that they received from one Mr. Lal, who pointed out to SEBI that yes, as far as this particular person is concerned, so it was Mr. Lal who complained that he is illegally raising funds from the investors, right? So both of these things collided together, and then SEBI investigated further. Yes, SEBI issued a notice to him. When SEBI issued a notice to him, the person said that, yes, I'm raising this particular money through private placement, and therefore SEBI pointed out to them, yes, even if you are raising money through private placement, what is it? It is your duty to inform us. It is your duty to seek permission. You need to share the offer document to us, and then only you can go ahead with raising of money, whether it is by private placement or whether it is by public offer, right? So that is what SEBI. Now, to again save his thick skin, he said that yes, it is not so that it is not really through private placement that I am raising this fund. He said that yes, it is through so he said that no, I'm not, it is only private. But when SEBI saw the data that he is raising funds from 30 million investors, right? SEBI says that, okay, for 1 second, I agree with you all that yes, you are not you raising the money through private placement, and therefore what is there, you do not have to follow ICDR rules, right? That is your issue of capital and disclosure regulation rules. So then in that case, SEBI said, in case if you are gathering money from so many investors, it amounts to a collective investment scheme. So remember that SEBI has a regulation for your collective investment schemes also. So then in that case, SEBI said that you have to seek permission under that. You cannot raise money from the market without our permission. Followed. So this is how what Subrata Roy was caught, and yes, basically he had flouted with the ICDR rules, that is your issue and disclosure rules, which tell you that yes, you have to make a prospectus. Once the prospectus, it is not called as a prospectus, it is under the ICDR regulations, it is called as an offer document. That offer document has to be shared with SEBI. SEBI will go through that particular draft offer document. In case if it has any recommendations to be done in that particular draft document, so I'm just telling you the rules as far as the regulation is concerned, that is the law is concerned, and then afterwards SEBI gives it back to you. You have to incorporate those suggestions, recommendations, and then afterwards you have to go in for publication for the same, whether you go for a private placement or whether you go for a public offer. Yes, what is there, creating an offer document is something which is a mandate, right? So this is what the ICDR regulation is concerned. Yes, he had flouted, and therefore you know that the matter SEBI took actions against the same, right? So that is regarding your what Sahara scam. The next caselet on your screen is Hindustan Liver Limited versus SEBI. Have you heard about this? Has anyone heard about this? Hindustan Liver? Anyone, friends? No?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. No. Okay. Someone had spoken about insider trading. They were very eager to know about insider trading, right? So yes, Hindustan Liver Limited versus SEBI was purely an insider trading case, right? So first of all, before understanding the case and how SEBI came in, or how did SEBI protect the investors, right? So understand. So let's see what is insider trading. What do you mean by insider trading? I would like to hear from you. What is insider trading? I've taken this particular case late because this was the first regulation which SEBI came into in 1992. Right. So as soon as SEBI was formed, this particular regulation has come in, that is insider trading regulations of 1992. Of course, there are various amendments in that regulation till date. But yes, the first legislation or the first regulation that came in was in 1992. What is insider trading, friends? Yes. Yes, anyone, please. I think so. If you answer, you participate, you'll enjoy more. What is insider trading? I'm sure you know about it. We are here to discuss. I'm not here to check anyone's knowledge, nothing. We are here to share knowledge. So please speak up. It really doesn't
trading
matter
of
whether it's
public
correct or
company
wrong.
stock based on non-public information about the company.
Okay, some important, yes. So as Kasturi says, that some important information which may influence the share prices of the share prices, but is not disclosed to the whatever public. Absolutely, Kasturi. So yes, your insider trading is nothing but your information, right? Which is known to certain set of people. When I'm saying certain set of people, it can be your directors, it can be your promoters, it can be your employees, right? Who have certain information, which, and how is this particular information? It is of that particular company is either going to go up high or they are going to fall, right? So any particular information which will affect the share prices is called as a price sensitive information, right? So any information which was price sensitive, right? And another thing is that which was unpublished, right? What do I mean by unpublished? That means it was not available to the general public. Then in that case, what is there? Yes, such a information, in case if it is utilized by certain set of people and they are making money because of that particular information, it was called as insider trading. Follow? So yes, so as far as Hindustan, so that is your insider trading. When I said that, yes, confidential information, I said price sensitive information. So which are the information which can be for you can categorize in this particular group? So which information can be called as price sensitive, friends? Yes, Ripu, Ruturaj, anyone? I would like to hear from all of you.
Is it share price?
Yes?
Is it share price? Share price of the company?
Share price of the company? No, it is because of the information, the share price is either going to increase or decrease. That's what I said. So which kind of information will increase or whatever decrease? Yes, Kasuri says it's financial information, right? So in case as far as your financial accounts are concerned, your profits are concerned, your quarterly results are concerned, your annual results are concerned, this is all financial information. So in case of for example, if the company is doing well, if you're having profits, what is going to happen? Dividends, you will be declaring high dividends, right? And when you're declaring high dividends, don't you think that yes, your share price is going to be high? Definitely it is going to increase, right? Because more and there will be a demand for your shares. Yes, people will think that yes, I need to have shares of this particular company, right? Along with that, so anything. Yes, Sushmita.
Is it acquisition?
It can be acquisition also. I was coming to that. Yes. So this is one of the things. Since Kasuri said financial information, I went ahead with that, right? So that is one thing. So financial information. So when she's saying financial information, not all financial information, I will say your reports, your financial reports, which are declared quarterly, annually, right? Which will reflect the profitability of the company. Yes, that is your price sensitive information. The second thing which Suchitra said was your what? Acquisition, mergers. In case if the company is going for acquisition and merger, yes, then also what is there? That particular decision of the company is going to reflect its prices, right? The company which has been acquiring, the company which is taking over, right? Their scripts are definitely going to what? Fluctuate, right? So the prices are going to be affected. So in case there is acquisition, yes, that information is also called as your what? Price sensitive information. In case, so we spoke about acquisition, takeovers. In case there is a merger, demerger, in case if there is listing, delisting, right? All these informations are going to affect the prices of the scripts, right? So all these, so I've just given you a few examples. So these are the examples of your what? Insider trading, or I will say examples of your price sensitive information which can lead to insider trading, right? So that is your price sensitive information, and when this, by using this price sensitive information, who are the people who gain profits? It is only a certain sect of people they gain profits. So what is happening over here? The large masses, when you're talking about this particular market, SEBI believes in, or as far as this act is concerned, or SEBI is concerned, they say that everyone should be treated fairly. Everyone should be given an equal opportunity. Here, what is happening? Everyone, so everyone, when I say everyone, it is all the investors. Are all the investors getting that equal opportunity? The answer is no. Only some set of people who have this particular information can utilize this information and make money of this. So when they know that the prices of the, because of this particular merger, what is going to happen? The prices of the shares are going to increase. And in case, so what do they will accumulate shares, they purchase shares in advance, right? So had a common man was aware of this information, would he have done the same thing? Yes, he would have done the same thing. But can he do the same thing? He cannot do the same thing. Why he cannot do the same thing? Because he does not have that particular information, right? So this is how a certain set of people are taking advantage for their personal gains, and this is not done because SEBI says that what, there has to be equity, there has to be fairness in the market. Each person or each investor should be given equal treatment. They should be given equal opportunities and fair opportunities, and therefore they ban insider trading, right? Because it is not on the basis of equity. Some of the players are taking advantage of the same. Right, so that is your what, insider trading. Now I come back to the case as far as Hindustan Liver was concerned. So it is one of the famous cases as far as your insider trading was concerned versus SEBI. As far as Hindustan Liver was concerned, it bought 8 lakh shares of UTI, right? As far as so basically, why did it purchase shares from UTI, and which shares did they purchase from UTI? So it was Brook Bond. So it was Hindustan Liver and Brook Bond. They were merging, right? So Hindustan Liver India Limited was taking over Brook Bond Lipton India Limited. Since they were taking over this thing, Brook Bond, it is, yes, that company was going to be merged, and therefore what did they do? They purchased 8 lakh of shares of Brook Bond from UTI. Right. So as far as your UTI was concerned, it is a public investment institution, as you know, right? And when did they do this? They just did this 2 weeks prior, before the announcement of merger, right? And over here, the directors of Hindustan Liver India Limited were held means they were held guilty. Why they were held guilty? Because just 2 weeks before the merger. As far as your Brook Bond was concerned, and Hindustan India Liver Hindustan Liver Limited was concerned, they were governed by one parent company, and that was your what? Unilevers, right? So both these companies came under Unilevers, and definitely Hindustan Liver's director will have, when the parent company is deciding for this particular merger, yes, don't you think this Hindustan Liver directors will be aware about this particular merger? They will know, and therefore they were held guilty of having this particular UPSI, that is unpublished price sensitive information. When you're talking about merger is unpublished sign. So since they were aware about this and they purchased shares, and this purchase only took place 2 weeks prior, so this purchase was not a normal purchase, but definitely a purchase with an intention to grab profits, right, and take undue advantage of the information that they possessed, right? And therefore they were held guilty. So it was not only SEBI that held them guilty, but of course when they filed appeal in your SAT, that is your Securities Appellate Tribunal, Securities Appellate Tribunal also what held them guilty and said definitely merger was price sensitive information, right, which they had leaked, and yes, they were into insider trading. So that is your Hindustan Liver and SEBI. Similarly, we have one more case as far as your Future Group was concerned. So that is a case of a demerger, I will say, because as far as your Future Retail group was concerned, they also had their home retail and e-commerce home retail business into one single entity. And now they had decided to separate that particular thing, that is home retail and e-commerce home retail business, into a different head, which was known as your Praxis Home Retail, right? And this is what they were supposed to do. And when it was, and definitely this was going to have a positive impact as far as your future retail was concerned, right? And therefore, what did they do? Since they knew that this is going to have a positive effect, prices are going up. The future group, so the future corporate resource group, and the FCLR Employees Welfare Trust, another institute which came under the future group, that is under your Kishore Biani and Anil Biani, who are the head founders, CEOs of your future groups, right? So these two institutes, that is your FCLR Employee Welfare Trust and your Future Corporate Resources, came under their head. These two groups, what did they do? They purchased shares in advance before this demerger was to be announced, right? So two entities were involved in purchase of the shares, right? So Anil Biani or Kishore Biani did not do it directly, but they did this particular transaction through an entity which was which came under their head itself, right? Yes, so basically they had authorized some traders, right, to do so, and they did this particular insider trading. What did SEBI do? SEBI banned these two people for 2 years from accessing the stock market. See how SEBI reacts to each of the thing, right? So everywhere, in case if there is any particular misappropriation, yes, SEBI has given penalties. Not only that, SEBI had asked them to repay the discharged amount. Right, so whatever this, there was a discharged sum of rupees 17.78 crores, right? So SEBI directed them to repay the same. So that was your case as far as your future group was concerned, right? So you have seen that SEBI has always evolved, come out with your protective functions. So in each of the scam, I told you certain regulations were made stringent, right? Whatever happened, penalties were imposed on them. So whether it is bid rigging, whether it is unfair trade practices as mentioned in scam, whether it is violating the regulations which are there, because ICDR regulations are there, he was supposed to follow those regulations, seek permission. Yes, they did not. And everywhere SEBI has bounced in, come back, stood in front of them, and yes, they have abstained them for either entering the market, barring them. So in your future group case, we saw that yes, they were barred from the security market. They could not participate in any of the trades as far as security market was concerned. Apart from that, heavy penalties were imposed. So this is how SEBI tried to protect the interest of the investors then, and it is continuously doing so. So this was your protective function of SEBI, one of the most important functions. So whether it is misappropriation, whether it is unfair trade practice, whether it is price rigging, yes, SEBI is there, and SEBI protects the interest of the investors. Right? We come up with the next thing, and that is your Sahara Scam. Do I have too much speak about Sahara Scam because it is from your area, right? So you must be knowing more about me than me, right? So as far as Sahara Scam was concerned, what was it? What did Sudipto Sen do?
Ponzi scheme, ma'am.
Yeah, Ponzi scheme. It was a Ponzi scheme scam, right? So as far as he was concerned, he had created a company, right? And he collected money from small agents, paid them commission, promised them high returns, right? Raised crores of rupees from them by pure efficient marketing tactics, I will say, right? He created a false brand image by involving politicians, leaders, everyone, celebrities, for endorsing his particular company, and that is how he became more popular. And within a short span, he really managed to sneak out crores of rupees from investors, right? He also tried to be in the limelight through whatever sponsoring for your Durga Puja, for your football clubs and things like that. And yes, he made more and more money. So that was his modus operandi for gathering money. As far as this particular group was concerned, right? So basically, when they were not able to repay the money, this particular whole thing came out, right? Because in a Ponzi scheme, what happens? It is iski topi uske sar pe. That is how it is being done, right? So when cash inflow is coming, yes, outflow is also smooth. So in case if they have to return also to some of the investors, yes, they can easily return because there was continuous cash flow which is coming. When the cash flows, you can say it reduced, right? It shrinked. Then in that case, it became impossible for him to give money back to the investors, right? Because till then, whatever he had promised, maturity, everything was coming to a closure in the sense, the time period for which he had promised to the investors who had initially invested came to a closure, and it was time for him to repay, and he could not repay because the inflow of cash had shrunk, and that is how the scam came out. Right. As far as your SEBI was concerned, they came heavily upon them, right? And as far as SEBI said that, first of all, this is something which is not permissible, because in case if you are collecting any kind of money in this particular manner or fashion, it comes under your collective investment regulation. So though it was a Ponzi scheme, SEBI said it is a collective investment scheme that you are implementing, and therefore what is there, you had to seek permission for the same. And in case if you have not sought that particular permission, then in that case, what is there, you have to be penalized. So that was your Sahara Scam case, wherein SEBI made it mandatory for it was not only after this, of course, penalty was levied on Sharda company, but along with that, SEBI became more, you can say, active as far as the rest of the investors or the rest of these schemes were concerned. So there were multiple collective investment schemes going on throughout the nation, as wherein companies were formed, and yes, they were having schemes like your goat farming, emu farming, your holiday schemes for members, right? And all these companies now came under the radar of your SEBI after the Sahara Scam. Right, and SEBI then further amended their regulations. So these regulations of your collective investment scheme came in place by SEBI in 1999, but they were not so stringent, right? But after the Sahara Scam, they became more stringent, and yes, now in case if you want to start up with a collective investment scheme, SEBI says that yes, first of all, you have to procure a certificate. So unless and until you procure a certificate, you cannot. So you have to register yourself with SEBI, and then only come up with such kind of a scheme. Secondly, you have to furnish all the details as far as your scheme is concerned, right? They levied norms for who are eligible for registration, or who are the people who can register with SEBI for floating such kind of a scheme, right? Then restrictions were levied on their business activities. SEBI has made it mandatory to them that you cannot promise guaranteed returns, right? Because as I told you, in this particular market, no one can guarantee returns, right? Though security is there is always a probability or a chance that yes, you may lose money, right? And therefore, SEBI said that you cannot assure anyone guarantee of their return. So that is one of the criteria. So such kind of restrictions were levied. They had to go in for a trust, trust had to be formulated, right? Procedure for launching the scheme was laid down, disclosures had to be done in offer document, so on and so forth. So as far as collective investment regulations are concerned, you'll have to go through the regulations, and yes, they have given a details wherein everything has become more transparent. So yes, if you want to raise money by this particular method also, what is there, you are under SEBI's radar, and basically if you're not following it, if you're violating on all these things, yes, then in that case you can be penalized, you can be caught by SEBI. So these are the things that happened because of your Sahara Scam. So amendments that took place in your legislation which was prevalent. So regulation was always there for collective investment scheme, but it was not so stringent. Now what has that? SEBI has incorporated so many. I just gave you a list of things which are there in the regulations. Don't you think if everyone is following those list of regulations, what will happen? Will it lead to transparency and protectiveness? Will it lead to transparency? Who can start? You will need to fit into the eligibility criteria. I said eligibility criteria has been levied. You have to, after seeing the eligibility criteria, yes, SEBI will scrutinize everything, whether you fit into that. So eligibility criteria is being defined in that regulation. So you need to fit into that. You need to be registered. Then only the SEBI will give you registration. In case if you're registered, they will tell you in which manner you have to launch that particular scheme. You have to show the offer document to the SEBI as it is being there in your ICDR rules. Here also, you have to show that particular document. SEBI will be reviewing that document. Then only you can launch it. So certain things are bringing in transparency, right? And yes, since the whole object of SEBI is that people take an informed decision. They know about it, and then consciously whether I need to put in money or not is a choice of the investor, right? So that is what SEBI has been doing. So that is your regulative function, right? So SEBI is also into regulatory function. That means what? They are coming with regulations, new regulations. In the existing regulations, they are amending it. And why are they amending it? To achieve its object. The objects of SEBI is protection of investors. Follow? That is how it is being linked to, right? They also have to maintain books of accounts. So everything. So there are so many things as far as that regulation is concerned, which is protecting the interests of the investors. So that was your Sahara Scam. The second function of SEBI, that is your regulatory function. We take up one more case, that is Escort Mutual Fund versus SEBI. As far as this caselet was concerned, right? Escort was concerned. So this is a case as far as your mutual fund is concerned, right? As far as your mutual funds are concerned, so they have to follow a certain norm. Remember that, right? And what is that particular norm? So if you are coming up with any particular scheme, right, remember that particular individual, right, that particular company, that is the MC, they have to submit an annual report to SEBI, right? It is not only that they have to submit. So under that regulations of your MF regulations, that is your mutual fund regulations, yes, this is one of the mandatory things, that you have to submit reports, annual reports to SEBI. It is not only that you have to submit annual reports to SEBI, but you also have to submit reports to your unit holders. So those who are investing in it, they also have to be shared this particular reports. These reports have to be published on your website. It is not only SEBI has to be given annual, but if you're talking about the investors, the regulations mandate that it has to be given on after every 3 months. So every quarter you have to publish the reports. As far as your Escort Mutual Fund is concerned, right, they did not publish this particular information to their unit holders, and since they were not publishing the account details on their website, or they were not following the compliances, what is there, SEBI levied a penalty. So again, we are seeing that what is SEBI doing? So whatever compliances are there, the MF regulations demands XYZ things. If you're not following that, what is SEBI doing? SEBI is penalizing you. Is it a regulatory function? Is it regulating you? Is it controlling you? Yes, it is regulating it. It is controlling you. It is checking, it is seeing that yes, Legislation is there, please adhere to it. In case if you're not adhering to it, what will happen? The collar will be caught. You will be penalized for the same. Regulatory function of SEBI, right? Similarly, as far as your gym mutual fund is concerned, so again, you can say, since I'm explaining the regulatory function over here, remember that if you are coming up with any particular scheme, remember that in an offer document, all the detailed disclosures, details about that scheme have to be given, right? Even as far as what is the maximum investment that you're proposing in any particular script has to be mentioned in the offer document, which they are offering to the investors. And in case if you're not doing so, what is it? Again, it is a violation, right? Now, again, why is it making it mandatory? This regulation is making it mandatory that you have to disclose all the details. So what is the agenda of SEBI? SEBI wants to make things transparent. Since when it is transparent, what will happen? You will know about everything and you will take a cautious decision. That is the agenda of SEBI, and therefore what is there? SEBI has come, and yes, this particular person did not disclose it. They were fine with the same, right? Another caselet is as far as your Can Bank investment management services are concerned. So as far as Can Bank management services are concerned, why were they penalized? As far as Can Bank was concerned, over here, they were changing the schemes, right? So basically, it was a close-ended scheme, and which they were now converting it to your open-ended scheme. Whenever there is a conversion from a close-ended scheme to a open-ended scheme, what is there? You have to make an offer document, right? Offer document is nothing but a prospectus, another word for prospectus, but you can say, but when the shares are issued for the first time, we say it prospectus, but otherwise it is called as an offer document, right? So just a different name, you can say. So it is mandatory that you have to issue an offer document because you're changing the nature of the scheme. As far as this also comes under your ICDR regulations, right? When I say ICDR, that is your issue of capital and disclosure, because you're raising capital, right? You're asking people to give you money, right? So it comes in your ICDR regulations also, and at the same time it also comes under your MF regulations, that is your mutual fund regulations, that you have to disclose and you have to give all the details. As far as this particular case was concerned, what did this company do? When, as I told you, you have to give an offer document to SEBI first. SEBI will be reviewing it, checking it, and then afterwards you can publish it. What did this Scam Bank do? Whatever they offered to SEBI was something different, wherein all the details were there, and so they went for an abridged offer document, wherein all the documents were there, and when they shared that particular document to the public, it was something different. So the crucial critical information which should have been added, right, which was there in SEBI document, was not there in the document which they shared it to the public. Is this a violation? Is this a violation?
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
SEBI make? It is a violation because SEBI is making it mandatory so that people can take an informed decision. You need people, there has to be transparency maintained. You need to know what the company is doing, right? And the prime whatever details were not disclosed, right? So definitely this was what, again, a violation. SEBI appointed an adjudicating officer. He investigated that particular matter, and yes, then he found that yes, Can Bank was guilty, and again fines were imposed on Can Bank. Right. So this is your regulatory function of SEBI, wherein SEBI monitors you, SEBI regulates you, SEBI expects that whatever regulations are laid down, you need to abide with those regulations. And in case if you're not abiding with the regulations, action is being taken, right? Or at times, yes, under the regulatory functions, yes, SEBI feels that some amendments, some changes have to be carried out. Yes, SEBI has a right of carrying out those particular amendments. And as I told you, SEBI is one body which is continuously amending laws, right? I will say there are no amendments in any of the legislatures as it happens with SEBI, because SEBI is continuously progressing. SEBI is for development. SEBI brings in stringent laws. Any particular scam, anything, is immediately reflected in their actions, wherein they incorporate, amend regulations and make it more stringent, make it more transparent. That is their agenda. That is what they have been doing over the years, right? So that is your regulatory function. It is only through, means my whole agenda was just to make the whole thing interesting. Instead of just telling you what are the functions, I thought that yes, I can share through a case study so you get a knowledge insight. And yeah, this is what I do with my kids. I'm a hardcore teacher, I'm sorry, but yes, I feel that yes, this is how you have to engage the class. And yes, if you tell it through case study, people enjoy, right? So my whole agenda was that. So I hope you have understood the regulatory function of SEBI. Have you, friends? Yeah. Have you? No answers. Okay. I hope
Yes,
you have,
ma'am. Yes,
I
ma'am.
hope you have understood, right? The last thing is your what? Development function of SEBI, right? It's everything is on screen. I do not have to explain. So how? So I said that yes, the whole agenda was SEBI to progress, to develop, because if this market is developing, nation is going to develop. Our GDP is going to increase. So the government's object of incorporating SEBI or establishing SEBI under that particular SEBI Act statute was development of this market, because there's growth. It has a potential of growth. And since it has a potential of growth, yes, security should be brought in, right? And this market should be developed. Now, and therefore, this is another important function of SEBI, wherein it speaks about development of the market. Yes, development can be made through imparting training, right? So why training is essential? So unless until you impart training, do you know what is to be done, what is not to be done, how are you supposed to behave, what are your expectations, where is your okay. Thank you, Sankar. Thank you, Tanay. Yes, it gives me a motivation further to do better. I really appreciate it. Yes, so let me continue. I'll give my brief later on before I wind up the session. Yes, so imparting training. So as far as training is concerned, yes, unless until training is being given, what is there, people will not know how to discharge it, right? So if you want to discharge any particular function very diligently, right, and you have to see that they are following it to the core, the first thing is that understanding. If you have understanding, you do it, you understand, and you realize the importance of it, right? And then only you feel that yes, I need to do that. So don't you think, and how can you do this? This can be done only through training, right? So training is one of the most important things as far as your what development is concerned. And therefore, what is there? Training has to be imparted. Right, and therefore SEBI's one in the development function, it says that yes, training has to be given. Training has to be given to whom? The intermediaries, right? So when you're talking about intermediaries, I already told you, intermediaries are no one but the connection between your issuers and your what investors, right? They are the facilitators. So these intermediaries, so you can say it can be your brokers, it can be your depository participants like Zerodha, Angel, right? These are all intermediaries. Your custodians are intermediaries. Your share transfer agents are your intermediaries. Your merchant bankers are your intermediaries who help you in whatever raising funds. So all these are intermediaries. So SEBI's agenda is yes, train them. If you're training them, then what will happen? Yes, it will grow them further. Promotion of fair trading and reduction of malpractices. I've already discussed how SEBI is dealing with promotion fair practices, right? So whenever there is an unfair practice, we have seen the Satyam scam. Unfair practice, what has SEBI done? SEBI has levied heavy fines along with interest, creating a deterrent effect. So when the deterrent effect is concerned, what is there? People do not means people will think twice. They will be abstained from doing such kind of frauds, right? So that is the fear that SEBI wants to create, so that people are away from all these things and that market runs smoothly, safely, securely, and yes, all the investors are protected. So, and they are encouraging fair practices, right? They are monitoring continuously, they are regulating continuously, and therefore what is their whole agenda is reduction of malpractices. And if that is allowed, if there is reduction of malpractices, when they're making their regulations stringent, what is going to happen? Yes, definitely there is going to be development. The next thing is research. Without research, nothing works, right? So yes, SEBI looks into, is continuously researching that how they can do better for the investors, right? And continuous research, and through research, you know that yes, you can get a data. That data can be analyzed, and when the data is being analyzed, the outcome is or is in statistics, means it is a factual thing. And don't you think that people believe in figures more than theory, right? So the figures speak loudly than theory. That's what I believe in. Is it not so, friends? It is more impactful. Figures are more impactful. So that is the agenda of SEBI, and therefore they continuously, whatever conducting research work, they are analyzing, they putting that in statistics, in figures, so that it is more impactful. And yes, it is reaching more and more people. They are publishing journals for the same. They are removing magazines for the same. They are conducting sessions for the same, so that what is there, they can create awareness amongst people. It is not only intermediaries, but even as far as investors are concerned, SEBI is giving them guidelines, SEBI is training them, SEBI is creating awareness, so that what will happen, yes, the market will further develop, because as more and more people know about it, you're going to invest in it. If you are not knowing about it, you're not going to jump in it, right? So we always, our mentality, of our tendency is what? To what? Be away from things what we don't know, right? So SEBI's agenda is, why keep everything secretive? Let more and more people know about it. When more and more people know about it, they are definitely going to invest, right? So no one will be taking a back step, but everyone will be there on the forefront. So that is what is SEBI's research work, SEBI's agenda. And last is self-regulating organizations. Do you know any of the self-regulating organizations which is working in this market, friends? Anyone? I will just give you a hint. That self-regulating organization which SEBI has anchored, very good, excellent emphasis, AMFI. AMFI is your self-regulating organization which has come. So as far as mutual fund is concerned, the market of mutual fund is tremendously increasing at a very fast rate, because I said in each household, each person is investing in your mutual funds, right? So you imagine the volume of that particular market, because comparing with the population India has, right? And therefore, this particular market is been growing. It is not possible for SEBI to monitor all of them, right? Do you think? Because when there is such a big volume, controlling it, regulating it is a challenge, right? And therefore SEBI is now encouraging your self-regulating organizations. So AMFI is one of them. As far as your AMFI is concerned, so it is association of mutual funds which have come together. So all the companies which are dealing in mutual funds, they've come together, they've formed an association, and they are regulating themselves. So to certain extent, SEBI's burden is being lessened. They really do not have to probe in, because they know that AMFI is there, AMFI is going to take care of it, AMFI is monitoring the mutual funds, AMFI is regulating them, AMFI is saying that whether yes, all the norms, regulations, are they abided with, are they followed or not. So the burden of SEBI is being reduced. So the main reason of encouraging self-regulating organizations is to reduce the burden of SEBI. And I'm saying reduce, yes, SEBI will not go away. Of course, there will be a monitoration, but to a certain extent, yes, they can delegate that particular task, or they can rely that particular thing on these organizations, because you know the volume, and with one particular, and you know there's division of labor helps in, right? So this is what SEBI wants to do, because, and these, they are doing it for further growth. So SEBI can levy that certain burden on these organizations, wherein they will do a little bit in their particular area. Because when you're talking about securities market, that is huge. Again, we have commodities market, we have equities, we have government securities, we have bonds, debentures, derivatives, so on and so forth, right? MFs. So if each one is doing it, and as I said, each sector is huge, right? And therefore, if such kind of self-regulating organizations come in, what will happen? Definitely, it will be a helping hand to SEBI. So, and it will definitely help achieve SEBI to develop further, more faster, and that is what SEBI's aim is. Right. So these were the functions of SEBI. Along with them, as far as your SEBI is concerned, yes, SEBI has a redressal mechanism, and that is your scores. So scores is nothing. Have you heard about scores, friend?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Can you quickly tell Gunjan?
Ma'am, this is the complaint system which is being developed by SEBI for addressing the grievances and the complaints of the investors.
Very good. Yes. As far as your scores is concerned, it is an online mechanism for what for complaints, right? So wherein by 24/7 this particular online mechanism or redressal forum is open. You can launch a complaint. You get when you're launching a complaint, yes, you give in your all details, name, whatever details as far as your Aadhaar is concerned, all these details, or means your what address is concerned, everything. So whatever you're generally giving, all those things have to be given, details have to be given, and then afterwards you have to lodge your complaint, right? It is a centralized system, but it has centralized database of all the complaints. Not only that, as far as your SEBI is concerned, it makes mandatory for your listed companies, it makes it mandatory for the registered intermediaries to have this, to connect their particular thing with scores. So whatever they also mandatory need to have a redressal cell, and that redressal cell should be connected with scores. That is a mandate as far as SEBI is concerned. So SEBI can understand which company, how many complaints came in, right? So that is their agenda. So everything is being linked. SEBI has further made it mandatory under this redressal mechanism for each listed company, for each registered intermediaries, that they have to address that complaint within 30 days, right? So they have levied a time span. So when time span is levied, everything is time bound, right? So that is what SEBI has done, and it ensures that the complaints are whatever disposed of in a specific time period. Justice delayed is justice denied. Right now, have you heard about this? But in case if justice comes to you immediately, don't you feel good about it? Friends,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
get, yes,
ma'am.
you believe in that system, you have faith in that system more, you are trusted, your confidence is increasing, your loyalty is increasing, and you know that these people are there, they definitely will. SEBI's agenda is protection, SEBI's agenda is growth, development. Yes, if redressal is coming faster, when they are making it time bound, people will feel that yes, I am safe over here. And that is how the whole objectives of SEBI are going to be achieved, and therefore they have made it time bound. So within 30 days you have to that. It is not only that you have to dispose it, they say that you upload all the things on the thing, what scores. You have to inform SEBI that this particular complaint has been resolved. It is not just that you have to resolve, they are ensuring, see how they are ensuring. They are saying that whatever documents pertaining to that particular complaint and your recommendation, that is whatever you have come through after investigation of that matter, that recommendation also has to be uploaded. So when you're uploading it, that there is no frauds or anything, you cannot just make a statement, I have done it, right? They are checking whether you have really done it or not. And in case it has been mentioned in your regulations as far as scores is concerned, that in case if you're not uploading the recommendation which you are given against that particular complaint, it will be treated as that complaint has not been resolved in 30 days. And if it is not resolved, penalties are attracted. It is a violation, right? So SEBI is ensuring in every way that what is there, protection is being guaranteed. It has adjudicating officers. So in case there is an inquiry, the adjudicating officers are appointed. They conduct the inquiry. They are given the powers of investigation, seizure, going to places, seizing documents, conducting a foolproof inquiry, adhering to the principles of natural justice, and they have to come to a recommendation. Once they come to a recommendation, in case if any particular person is aggrieved by that recommendation, they can move on to SAT, that is your Securities Appellate Tribunal. Right? And Securities Appellate Tribunal is nothing, just how if you're aggrieved by any particular order of a lower court, you're filing an appeal in the High Court. Similarly, it is the same status as far as your SAT is concerned, that yes, you're filing an appeal to your Securities Appellate Tribunal, wherein you can get justice. Yes, so it is the central government who's appointing the presiding officer with other members who are 2 members who are having knowledge into finance, accounting, economics, law, right? accountancy. So these are the members, and that is how the matters are adjudicated. So this is a redressal mechanism, and because of this, people are feeling secure. Therefore, we are investing more and more in the security market, right? So in spite of SEBI, it is not just SEBI which is there. Please remember, friends, there are other regulations. I have already taken names of these regulations, right? Through the case studies, my agenda was to cover both the things, right? So your issue and capital disclosure regulation. This is a regulation which is there, which is controlling and regulating the issue, because you're raising funds from the public. It is not the company's money. It is your what? Investors' money. So that particular money should be raised in a proper manner. No, the companies, the issuer should not cheat you, and therefore these regulations are there, which make it mandatory, whether you're raising money through private placement, through your public offer, whatever it may be, you have to adhere to these regulations of issue of capital and disclosure. Right, you need to have a merchant banker, you need to register yourself, you need to share an offer document with the public to SEBI. Once it is approved, then only you can go in for it. They have made it compulsory that how advertisements are to be issued, right? So what it should be the manner as far as advertisement is concerned, you need to appoint, you need to have ASBA, right? So applications supported by blocked investors, you need to have ASBA when you're going in for your raising of capital. You need to have your syndicate banks appointed through which people can invest, approach you, right? So all these mandates are there in your issue and disclosure. Similarly, your substantial acquisition and takeover regulation. So in case if you're taking over company, when it is compulsory to make an offer document, right? How the interest of the minority shareholders will be safeguarded. That is agenda of substantial acquisition is nothing but safeguarding the interest of your minority shareholders. So in case if the minority shareholders want to quit, right, then the company who's acquiring, they have to inform, so that what is there in case if they want to leave, if they want to sell their shares, they do not want to continue with the company who is taking over, they are free to do so, right? And therefore this particular disclosures and offer documents are there, wherein yes, the right of the minority shareholders is protected. Again, there are also what all you need to do is being mentioned. Insider trading regulations are there. I've spoken a little bit on that, that as far as these regulations is concerned, it makes mandatory. So it tells so you need to have a pre-clearance date. 1 year prior, you have to tell the directors, promoters, all the key personnel of the company, they have to disclose their trade. That is one of the important factors of this regulation. So in case if you're disclosing trade, anything which is apart from that particular trade which you have disclosed to SEBI, it has to be disclosed 1 year prior. So you cannot imagine within this year my company is going to, you can roughly gauge, but you cannot 100% sure, yes, my company is going to make profit. So you cannot manipulate or you cannot do anything as far as your purchase of shares is concerned, right? Because you are already giving a year's plan to SEBI a year prior. In the earlier, you're giving the whole next year's plan, right? And therefore, this kind of illegal activities of insider trading are automatically. So such kind of regulations are there as far as insider trading is concerned. In case if you're into unfair trade practices, there's a separate regulation for that. I have just named a few. There is a plethora of regulations when it comes to securities law. If I sit to talk about it, I think so one whole semester we will require to speak about it, right? So there are so many regulations, and each of these regulations are protecting the interests of the investors. SEBI has come up with these regulations for each aspect separately, because each aspect requires certain different demands. I've spoken about your collective investment scheme regulation, right? So each thing has a different demand, each thing is of a different nature, and there are certain peculiarities of that particular activity, and understanding those peculiarities, what is there, different regulations are being carved for each of the things. Otherwise it was much easier to have a common regulation, but no, with a common regulation you cannot really penetrate and concentrate on each of the activity, and therefore they have different legislations for different activities. So each activity in the security market can be monitored carefully, And yes, protection of this particular market can be what achieved, right? So that is all that I can say in this whatever 2 hours have been allotted to me. Yes, thank you very much, all of you, for being patient listeners. I forgot to give my introduction, but I'll quickly give you my introduction. I'm Dr. Medha Shete. I have done PhD in law. I am a hardcore teacher. I love teaching. I have passion for teaching. I was a principal of a law college. I have just given up it 2 years ago because I never wanted that timetable. I wanted to be a keyboard, but I like teaching, so I've continued teaching. I teach with BSE and I teach to management colleges. Yes, and I do everything visiting, and along with that, yes, I do estate planning. I work as a POSH consultant. I'm on many corporates as a POSH consultant too. I hope you know about POSH. It is Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace, wherein a committee has to be formed, and I work as an external member. I conduct inquiries. So that is a brief about me. So along with my PhD, I also have an MBA degree, and also I have done a chartered trust and estate planner certification course. So that is about me. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, any questions? But it's 5 o'clock. I do not know whether our host will allow us to take up those questions. But do you have any questions?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. It's okay. It's a really nice session, and I believe all participants already enjoyed the session.
Yeah,
And
yes, please go ahead.
yes. So participants, if you have any question, you can raise your question in chat, your chat, as well as you can ask question by unmute yourself. Any questions?
Someone has asked for my email address. I've given my email address. Yeah, I have placed it. I hope you have received the same. Right? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Devashanti. I believe you received ma'am email ID.
Yeah, because someone had asked for the same. Arun had asked.
Yes,
for the same.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed the session. I enjoyed the session too, right? Yes, it was a great session, and your
Madam, thank you.
appreciation
Madam,
means
thank you very
a lot
much.
to me. Means a lot to me. So I really appreciate I'm grateful for your saying your feedback, right? And yes, as I said, it really means a lot to me. It motivates me, and it tells me that yes, Medha, please continue working for spreading knowledge, right? For which I was not getting when I was a principal. The main reason for leaving my principalship was yes, I was not into teaching, and it's my passion to teach people, spread knowledge, and such kind of feedbacks really help me to grow me further, right? To do better for the society. That's what I feel. Thank you very, very much.
Yes. Any questions?
There is a saying feedback form or link which is there on the chat box. Friends, I will request you please fill the same.
Yes.
Right.
On
Okay,
this note, ma'am, we don't receive.
Again.
Right. We don't not receiving any questions. So, ma'am, thank you very much from Bombay Stock Exchange, as well as from Macau, as well as from AICT side. Ma'am, I believe one of the energetic session like for this the end of the day. And
Sir, I can, sorry to interrupt, but actually my connectivity got lost, so I missed the opportunity of asking question. Sir, if you permit.
Yes, please. Please.
Ma'am, may I have the permission to ask
Yes,
the question?
yes. Bolo na.
Ma'am, actually, like in the past 1 year, I have heard the case about the Hemant Ghai case. And in that case, like
Which case?
Ma'am, Hemant Ghai case.
The
CNBC Awaz TV anchor.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, like whatever information, like whatever information he was being using in the terms of recommendation of the stocks that he is being giving to the investors. So he is using that particular information prior in the terms of buying those stocks, and then as per whatever investors used to behave, he used to execute the orders in that similar manner. So like if the prices are being going down, then he is being buying. If they are going up, then he is being selling. So like if ma'am, we will say this case as the case of the insider trading, or this is under some other, what we can
Unfair
say?
practice. Unfair practice.
It is unfair trade
Unfair
practice.
practice.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Welcome. I didn't realize my video was stopped. I thought throughout the session my video was on. I am really sorry for the same. I realized it when I stopped sharing the screen. So yeah, that's how it is. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much. I enjoyed. Thank you, Macau. Thank you, Bombay Stock. I'll thank Bombay Stock Exchange also for giving me this opportunity to reach out with you all. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Shall
ma'am.
we wind up the session?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. As I said, like all participants, you have next session from 5:15 onwards. So please just take a small break and join back with us at 5:15. We will start our panel discussion and last feedbacking session for the whole STTP program. So once again, thank you, madam. And on this note, I'm just leaving this session, as well as we are looking forward to join at 5:15 sharp.